Good morning. We're here to spill the beans on real estate. No, just the good stuff. Hope you enjoy.
And today we're coming from Roasted Coffee in Hasbrouck Heights.
New Jersey.
Leave a comment below to let us know where you would like us to go if you have a favorite coffee shop. Today, we're going to talk about nightmare closings. Catherine, would you like to share?
I can't wait to share with you. So I do have a nightmare closing recently happened. You know, there's a lesson at the end of this, but the story goes something along the lines of, you've heard where some agents and one agent in the deal does everything, even though they're not the seller's agent, they're just the buyer's agent, but they do everything. That was me. So this situation, we were negotiating with the seller. We were coming to the closing. Now we have a closing date, time, place. We're doing the walkthrough. 5 minutes before walkthrough, I hear from the listing agent that we can't do the walkthrough. The seller's not ready. I'm like, what? What do you mean the seller's not ready? The seller claims he was never told anything.
Oh my God.
What do you mean you were never told anything? Can you believe?
Yeah.
So I put this back on the seller agent that they didn't tell their agent
they
or
weren't
their
communicating.
seller.
And the attorney, too, wasn't communicating with the seller.
Clearly, the attorney wasn't communicating. So I got to thinking about this and I'm like, why did this happen like this? How could there be such a miscommunication? We show up to the walkthrough because we were 5 minutes away.
And there's plenty of emails that go back and forth throughout the whole process.
Yes, there's always an email that goes back and forth. So turns out the seller's sitting in his car in the street waiting for us to show up to tell us, I'm not moved out yet. I'm not ready to close.
So he was actually aware to certain parts.
I guess so. His agent must have told him that morning. I don't know. Yeah, so it was a little bit interesting. So now I have to let down my buyers. They're all excited. They're moving from another state and they're excited to go to closing.
And I'm sure they're all packed and they probably
Everything.
Had
Gave
the moving
their
truck waiting
landlord-
behind the corner.
And he
Oh
took
my
time
God.
off of work because they planned on doing work in the house
Oh,
over the
no.
weekend. It was a Friday closing. I hate Friday closings.
So what happened?
So we had to go back to the drawing board. Actually, it was a Thursday closing. We went back to the drawing board and they're like, oh, the seller says, I'm not going to be ready until next week. My buyers are like, no way. Sure enough, he's not going to be ready until Monday. He says, I can be out by Sunday. I'm like, oh, okay. So to make sure my buyers are going to be able to close, I drive by on the weekend to make sure he's out. It snowed that weekend, of course.
Is that really your job as a buyer's agent to
No.
make sure that the seller is out?
It is not. But long story short, we ended up closing, but I couldn't help but keep asking myself, why did this happen? When I looked at the closing disclosure, I could see that the buyer paid their attorney, or the seller paid their attorney only $800.
There you go.
Attorneys are going to average between
1,600, 2,000,
Yeah.
anywhere in between there.
Yeah, and that's what
So
an
he gave
attorney
him
costs.
half price.
Mhm.
Right. So and he got
Half
half service.
price, half service.
Exactly. And was it a real estate attorney?
To my knowledge, it's hard to say,
Okay.
but we need to make sure we have real estate attorneys because they're going to make sure that the deal gets done properly. So that's not the only thing. Then I looked at the listing agent. What's the listing agent getting on this deal?
3%, I would assume.
Oh no, he didn't get 3%. He only got 1.5%. So he
And-
didn't even negotiate for his own commission.
So he was pretty much just a transaction coordinator
Pretty
at that
much.
point. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Was he really a listing agent?
I don't think he ever showed up at the property. It was
He just put a sign in the front.
put
and
a
left.
sign and prayed that it would sell.
And he was darn lucky that you happened to have a buyer for it.
Yeah, he's lucky I was the buyer agent because I did all the work.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
I-
I always say that.
I negotiated to get paid more than the seller gave his own agent. The seller gave me more money than he gave his own agent.
And that's why he wasn't ready to move out. And that's why he didn't.
Exactly. So, buyer nightmares, I guess the end of the story is really you get what you pay for. Make sure that you're working with a good team when you're buying or selling your real estate. Make sure you ask all the questions of how does it work? What's the process? And what am I going to need to be aware of and do? So yeah, that's kind of where we
I
leave it.
totally agree with her.
And if you do have questions when you're choosing an agent, ask us. We'll let you know what you need to ask.
Absolutely.
So let us know what you would like to hear about next week. Leave a comment below and let us know if you have any questions.
Great. Have a wonderful day.
Enjoy.
Bye.